Welcome to the Family Photography Marketing Podcast, where we dive into the world of marketing and help you take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Fiona, a marketing expert with 10 years of experience in the family photography industry, and in each episode of this podcast, I'll be sharing my insights and strategies for successful marketing to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of digital and traditional marketing techniques. So whether you're just starting out or looking to fine-tune your marketing approach, this podcast has something for you. So join me and let's get started. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 of my unpopular marketing opinions. This is prompted, of course, by my extremely unpopular, actually it wasn't extreme, it was unpopular with some people and very popular with other people, and that was that building a business off of referrals is dangerous. And the people who've been in business for a long time were like, yes, thank you, this is so true. And the people who've come into the business recently and been given that advice had a little bit of pushback. And if you want to see me go on a full rant just about that one, I have it on my Instagram. Okay, so the first one, and this was also prompted by something that popped up this week, about a top list that came out, and I noticed a theme within the photographers that were chosen to be on this list of like up and coming top photographers. And there's nothing wrong with lists like this, but I know that when people are categorized like this, it can create a lot of emotions. And so for this perspective, I want to split into 2 thought groups. So this is a marketing podcast. So what we talk about here is marketing our art. If you are a creative hobbyist, then first of all, you don't need to market your art. So this probably isn't the target podcast for you. Of course, you're welcome to listen. Hello, happy to have you here. However, there's sort of this weird hierarchy within the family photography industry where there's this idea that the most creative person will win the game. And if you're talking about creativity as a hobbyist within the photography world, like a technical or creative level photography, like who is going to win the award as the most creative photographer, that person is like the person who is the most creative will most likely also really struggle to consistently run a business if their sessions are super creative. So separating this out really helped me in my own mindset, because I used to get stuck in these creativity traps as well, where I would be like, I too need to insert the latest creative trend, whether it be hyper film look, blur, whatever it is. You all know the trends that come and go. So it sort of feels like whoever's doing that trend best is winning. And I'm like a competitive person. I like to compete. I go to the gym and if there's like someone on the treadmill next to me, I'm like, what up? Are we running? And they're like, don't even know I exist. But that's just how my brain works. So I get that. I get that race to the top sort of idea. But hyper creativity is not a business asset. So if you are trying to run a profitable business, being extremely creative, chasing every trend is not going to help you get there. That does not mean that you're not a good photographer, and vice versa. The most important messaging here for the listeners of this podcast that needs to be heard here is that if you are someone who is not hyper creative, who is not a trend chaser, who is not trying out 27 presets and doing the blur thing and doing the hyper film thing and the super grainy and all the things, that does not mean that you cannot have a successful business. And actually not doing those things will help you on your way to a successful business. So how do we live in this place where we are both creative and good business owners? Because I love photography. I've been doing it for 13 years. It's super fun. It fulfills me. A lot of my sessions are creatively fulfilling. Many of them are just not as creatively fulfilling as it would be if I was, on a windswept mountain with someone in a dress with a newborn baby, which is my like ideal session that I've never gotten to do. that is like the pinnacle of what I would love to create. Not every single session is that for me though. And at the end of the day, I want a $100,000 a year business that supports my family and my dreams and everything I want to do in this life. So how do I do that and still feel creative? The way I personally do it is I do model calls within my business. I have creative projects that never see the light of day that are just all about my own creative energy, what I want to do. And that's how I get my creativity out. But I'm not trying to make my creative self feed my photography business. So I just want to point that out because I understand the draw and the beauty of images that are like so mind-blowingly creative, especially like in the family world. You're like, oh my gosh, how did they even, first of all, my question is always like, how did you even find this family that is like a 1 in a million and they're all dressed in this extremely amazing way and they have this connection and the dad is like, let me pet you. Like, I'm sorry, but like in my business, that's not what is always happening. There are a handful of photographers in the country who are hyper creative and extremely successful. And majority of those people it's my dog. I don't know if you heard her. Photograph other creatives primarily. So it's sort of like other creatives who are attracted to this level of creativity hire that photographer for their own family. So they often travel around. It's like a whole thing. A person who is trying to build a family photography business in your average Anytown, USA is not going to be able to do that. Because what'll happen is they will confuse everyone. No one will know what they're doing. So clarity over cleverness is what is successful in marketing. Predictability and consistency are what are successful for owning a business. Because unless you're a very, very, very creative person yourself, you're not probably going to sign up for someone's hyper creative shoot, not really even understanding what the concept is and pay a bunch of money for that. There are people that will do that. And I'm saying that exists. I'm not denying that exists, but I will say it's rare. The vast majority of people want a predictable outcome when they're paying money. That's just like if you wanted a pair of shoes, you fell in love with a pair of shoes, you order them, those are the ones you want. You don't necessarily want to it's like a wild box shoe company where you pay $100 and you have no idea what is going to come out of the box. It may be some, shoes covered in feathers. And then you just have to be like, okay, well, I love everything that this shoe company does. So I'll happily wear these on my little feather feet. Like that is perfectly fine. Is that the business model that majority of people are going to be able to find success with? No. The second one is the referral-based businesses are dangerous. And I already talked about that. The main reason is that it's not a controllable output. Unless you have a designated referral program where every season you reach out to past clients and you offer them something for referring X type of client and you have a whole system, you have no idea who's going to refer you business at any moment. And it's not as reliable as you think in terms of getting clients who are aligned with your own artistic vision. Number 3, good marketing is boring. And I've said this before, but a lot of people keep expecting that the more busy and better their business gets, the more exciting it'll become. And there are pivots that you can do and things that you can change within your creative process that can amplify your business. But what I see so often is that right before people are about to reach the place where the whole business just starts rolling easily down the track, they sabotage it because it feels boring. And I understand that. I totally get it. But if you want a long-term business where you get to creatively direct shoots, family photography shoots all the time, which is how I kind of think of my business, then I know that there's a lot of sameness that comes with that. And luckily, I have a brain that can handle the sameness and appreciate it. And as you all know, if you've been longtime listeners, I really, really watch that resentment line. And if there's something that I feel resentful about and I don't want to leave the house for a shoot, I definitely take note of that. If it keeps happening repeatedly, I know I need to change things up. Okay, the fourth is that your emotions are your biggest hindrance in marketing. It's not your images. It's not your logo. It's not your font or your colors. It's how you think people will think about you. That's the thing that will hold you back more than anything else. It'll keep you silent. It'll keep you scared. It'll keep you in this space of wondering what could be instead of actually just trying it out. If you were to experiment with 2 photographers and one of them spent the month building out the most amazing branding package ever that had the prettiest logo and the nicest fonts and the cutest website, and then you took another photographer who spent 30 days just continually marketing and pouring into the things that data showed them actually worked, that second photographer is going to be way more profitable. All right. Good connection marketing can have nothing to do with your kids. So a lot of times when we want people to connect with us in our art, we think that we need to become like a mommy blogger, or we need to become an influencer that has to do with our family. And in the stories and connections that you tell, you can pick a couple different topics within your life that other people connect to. This can be books. It can be motherhood. It can be art. It can be coffee, tea, whatever it is, meal planning. It could be something completely not to do with your kids and your family and your own personal life, so that you can put a boundary there where you're not feeling like your personal life is being judged. You can create a connection marketing channel that has nothing directly to do with your family and only to do with you and your business and your potential client in a little triangle. And in the middle is something fun that you guys all enjoy talking about. So whether that's art or cooking or concerts, I see this done so well by many family photographers where they have a whole bucket of content that's just connection, that's just them being social on social media. And it's not that it is all about their family or all about them being an influencer. It's just all about them sharing 1 or 2 aspects of life that they really enjoy. I love to share art on my Instagram. So I have this whole group of people who, many of them hire me for shoots. They're very engaged with my brand and they love the art that I share. That has nothing to do with my family, and I'm not an influencer within those spaces. It's just a little piece of connection content that's outside of only sharing about session things that I can talk about. The thing you want to pick there, what could you talk about for 10 hours straight and never get bored? You probably have things like that in your life that you just love to talk about, and they could be extremely niche. And there's nothing wrong with just adding those things into your marketing to connect with people. Okay, the last one is that please fail. Please start failing, because that is the only way that you will learn anything about anything to do with marketing. Every fail that you have in marketing is such a massive win, because you get data. You guys are so afraid, so many of you are so afraid of failing that you are literally silent, and all of the work is going on in your head in the prejudgment that you're putting out there about what you think people will think about what you think. And so much of this is happening just in your head, around it goes. Just start trying stuff. If there was one, if someone brought to me a newbie family photographer and they're like, okay, one thing she can do for marketing, just anything. Make a reel, stick with it. Do anything consistently for a period of time so that you can get some data and know whether or not it's something to pour into or something that you need to change. And the more you do this and the more you get into that experimental mindset, the easier all of it becomes. Because at the end of the day, you are running a creative business. And so you have to get visibility. You have to have eyes on your business. So how are you going to do it? You're going to have to try things out. So if you could say over the next 3 months, I want to have 10 fails and 10 flops, you will be so much farther ahead than if you only accept successes in your life. So that's what I want you to do. Try to go out there and flop around and fail. Because when you do that, you're at least trying things. And the way I see it, when my marketing students tell me about their fails, I literally only hear the win. Where they're like, yeah, I put this out there and only one person. And I'm like, one person! That's how my brain works. Because I know that one person tuning in is data. One person taking an action is data. I'd rather have that one person. I'd rather have one person in a crowd turn around and look at you and have 99 people ignore you than you never show up at all. So those are my unpopular marketing opinions. Maybe more popular than I like to think. But yes, I hope that was helpful. And I will see you guys next week.